Okay, so today I kind of wanted to talk about like something that like drives me up the fucking wall when it comes to like the new age sort of like alien agenda, right? Because this is like one of the things that like the new age talks about a lot. Like they talk about like the like the aliens are here to save us, or they talk about like the fucking Pleiadian High Council. They talk about like the Lyrans and like the Greys are like benevolent and stuff like that. And like I wanted to sort of address this because because if you actually look beyond like the words, right? If you look beyond like what people say about the gray aliens, what people say about the like what the new age sort of gurus and cult leaders will say about these entities, right? What overwhelmingly what you'll find is that like in literally like all of these like abduction cases with the gray aliens, right? Like there's invasive body procedures. There's like this cold sort of calculating AI that's behind them. There's the overwhelming sense of terror, right? The paralysis that people feel, right? Whenever they get abducted and stuff like that. And so over and this is like this what this reminds me of, right? The sense of terror that they feel when they're near these sort of creatures, right? Like one of the things that this reminds me of is it reminds me of like that one video where like this kid is like hiding from Queen Elizabeth, right? So like Queen Elizabeth sort of shows up and like this kid literally hides under his mom's dress or something in order to get away from her. And this is because human beings can, especially children, they're more tapped into it, but human beings can sense things in the spirit, and they can sense that, oh, okay, this entity does not have good intentions, right? This entity does not have my best intentions at heart. Like why is it like why would it paralyze you and not allow freedom of movement in the first place? First of all, right? But also like the spirit can sense things like your essence can sense what like these things before your conscious mind can pick up on it, right? And overwhelmingly in these abduction cases, like whether it's like the gray aliens or whether it's like mantis creatures or whether it's like whether I mean like reptilians are pretty obvious, like they're like malevolent and stuff, and like they feed off of like the loosh of people, like they feed off of like negative energy, like they have these sort of Moloch rituals, right? But overwhelmingly, and overwhelmingly, these entities seem to have like a negative sort of. They're not friendly towards humanity. Period. And one of the things that drives me up the wall is like there are people who say like, oh, but there are good aliens, but like all the good aliens are basically just fucking useless. Like they're just useless retards that just sit on their fucking hands and do nothing. Like oh, we're here to help humanity, but like they do fuck all to help humanity. It's like literally like the good aliens are like a fucking or like retards with like absolutely zero power, like zero agency. Like they're basically just like fucking useless paperweights. And all like the bad aliens are the only ones with like they're the only ones actually pulling the fucking trigger, and they're the only ones who like with any actual agency for some reason, right? And it's like if the aliens were here to help us, right, like they would have already helped us already. So I do not think that like this idea of like, oh, but like the aliens are here to like this new age sort of agenda of like the aliens are here to save us, and this feeds into Project Bluebeam and like this idea of like a fake rapture, a fake alien invasion, or like a fake abductions, right? Like stuff like that. Like that's sort of like the new age sort of version of the rapture, right? And this is one of the things where I think that we do need to be very, 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 very skeptical of any non-human entities, because there is this anti-human, non-human force that is behind human control, that is behind all the suffering in this simulation, and it doesn't matter what form they take. If it's a non-human entity, it really can't be trusted, because even if they can be trusted, even if they are like the good entities, like they'll do absolutely fuck all basically. And I feel like this is part of the agenda of and I think that basically what this does is I feel like this is like another Matrix program that gets you to give away, power, right? It basically is like, oh, like these external entities are here to save us, but like they end up not doing anything, year after year after year. It's like, oh, it's gonna happen, guys, and then, like nothing happens, right? So I do feel like that, these non-human entities, these extraterrestrial entities. I mean, they're interdimensional. They're not extraterrestrial. They're interdimensional. They're from the astral plane, right? But I definitely do feel like we shouldn't trust them. We should be very skeptical at the very least, because overwhelmingly the interactions with these entities are overtly negative, right? That like they induce you with paralysis, right? There's an overwhelming sense of terror that people feel around these creatures, and they have to sort of shapeshift in order to look more benevolent in some cases, right, and stuff like that. And so I do feel like that what we're dealing with with like this sort of this sort of push for like for like the worship of aliens and like the worship of like these non-human entities. I feel like they're trying to get people, especially like in the new age, right? Like they're trying to get people used to they're trying to get people used to non-human entities. They're trying to get people to essentially just start worshiping non-human entities because like, oh, humanity needs to learn and this feeds into like the soul trap, right? Like humanity needs to learn lessons, and we need to learn from these more developed beings, right? And, and and so what people end up doing is they end up giving away their power, right? They end up giving away their agency, their free will to these random non-human entities. And like it doesn't matter what form they take. I mean, you should have free will, you should have free choice, right? But yeah, I mean, like I definitely do think that like these entities aren't trustworthy. And I definitely think that there is sort of a hidden agenda in the new age to push for to get people used to these entities and to sort of consensually allow these entities to interfere with human affairs. And and yeah, I mean that was just something that's been driving me up the wall recently. This is like sort of like something that I've been getting a download about. It's like what like okay, they're like the bad aliens or like the bad extraterrestrials, like they're the ones actually doing something to humanity. But like also like this is I said this before, but why is it that the quote unquote good aliens are like basically just useless paperweights, right? Like why is it that like the quote unquote good aliens like do absolutely fucking nothing, and all the bad aliens are like the ones doing everything? Like they're the ones putting in work, right? They're the ones putting in action. They're the ones manipulating the genome, right? They're the ones, controlling the media. They're the ones spraying the chemtrails. They're the ones, doing all this Project Bluebeam stuff. Where they're the ones abducting people, right? And but like the New Agers want to pretend like that they're all benevolent, and that like oh it's all good, and like the aliens like that they're benevolent, and that they're here to save us, and that like oh everything's wrong with humanity, like oh it's always our fault, right? Like the gaslighting, right? But yeah, I mean, what do you guys think? Like share, comment, like let me know what you think about this. But yeah, I just wanted to let off some steam. Want to do a little rant. Yeah, I don't think they're trustworthy. I don't think the aliens are trustworthy. Yeah.